Numero cuatro, number 4 in the top 7 things to do to kickstart your year is update your materials. Update your materials. We just talked about your agent. Your agent's job is to get you into rooms with casting director and production, and they can't do that if things aren't up to date. I'm often guilty of that. Currently, I'm guilty of that. I have an old headshot that really needs an update. So my plan in the first week or two of January is to book a headshot session. But what does that mean? That means your demo reels. Do you have footage hanging out there that may be the best footage? Maybe you booked the biggest thing in your life last year and it's out and it's somewhere. Either you can contact production or you can find it on YouTube or on one of the sites and get it into a demo so that then you can be pushing it out to other casting directors. You can get that footage on all the casting websites. Also, your resume. Maybe you haven't. I know that I don't update mine that often. So at minimum, every year, 6 months, really, you should be doing it anytime you add something new, because if a casting director or a production is looking at that, they might know the director or the casting director or the producers of that project. So the second you add that one little credit, they might be like, oh, you worked with Tom. I love Tom. If he cast you, then great. I'm going to cast you too. Rather than waiting for a full year for that to pass you by. And training as well, too. A big update for me this year is I'm going through an entire conservatory program, which was never on my resume. So if it's a casting director, and I know a lot of casting directors are big on training, one of the first things they're going to look at is, where have you trained? And if they don't see anything, there's going to be doubt in their mind that you actually know what you're doing. Whereas if you've gone through a conservatory program, you went to theater school, you went to TV and film school, you did musical theater, you went to conservatory, you took Second City Conservatory, whatever it is, make sure that's there. Your headshots, of course, they got to look like you, they got to be current. Hopefully you got a few variations of you so that you have a few different looks. Maybe you got a more business corporate look, and then you got a little more casual look, commercial look versus theatrical look as well. Different outfits. So make sure you got all those boxes checked, ideally with headshots, so that your agent can custom submit for you. So for me, if it's like grunge rocker, then that might be the headshot that I got where I'm wearing a black t-shirt and a leather jacket and my hair's not super slick or anything. But if it's corporate, billionaire crypto CEO, then that's the one where I want to have suit and tie, shirt and tie, where maybe my hair slicked back so that you do look the part rather than just having one catch-all headshot. So sort of check those boxes, which would be something that you bring up in that agent meeting. Just say, hey, is there anything else that you need? I know that you only have that one headshot. What if I went and booked another session? What are the 3 or 4 or 6 looks that you think that would benefit me to be able to custom submit to some of these gigs? And your agent's probably going to love you for that. And then the last couple things, if you have a personal website, get all that up to date. So you've got current pictures, your most recent media, your media appearances. Maybe you throw your demo reels on there. And maybe these days, more important than the website is your social profiles, making sure that all your social media profiles, Instagram, Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, if you're on TikTok, get all that stuff up to date so that it points to where you want it to point. Maybe scrub it of anything if you look back and you're like, oh shit, look at all the stupid things I said back in the day, because that's a reality. Some of the first things, like when you get pinned or when you're on hold over the weekend while they're deciding who they're going to book, one of the things they're probably doing is looking at your social media profiles. So if things are a little wonky or out of whack, or if you don't seem active in those, like some productions, they want the numbers and they want to see the engagement because they're going to be thinking like, oh shit, we cast this person, it's going to be 100,000 extra eyeballs on all of our releases, so that they're current, but just up to date and present. It's just a good time of the year where you can do this all in one fell swoop. And then maybe you do it in the summertime again as well. So do it January and July so that every 6 months, all this stuff is current, if not quarterly. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I know, same with you, Lars, but I know I have to update my demo reel, and like I don't have any new footage that's coming out in the next couple months or in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to be booking a session to make sure that I have some new scenes and new material that maybe a casting director or someone else will see and decide to cast me off of.
Boom. I love that. Thank you for adding that, because it's such an issue. Like, first of all, whenever we book something, it takes so long to get the footage. So you book something this year, if it's a feature film, you might not even come out for a year and a half. I was in a feature that has, I think, some solid stuff, or at the time it was some of my most solid work. And we shot it in 2017, and it's still in post-production 4 years later. So, but don't allow yourself, it's easy to fall into that victim mindset where you're like, oh, well, I don't have a demo reel, so that's why. And then you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're putting the ball in someone else's court. Figure out, even if it's just in a self-tape studio where you're doing an audition scene or a monologue, at all times, you want your agent and or casting and or production to be looking at your best work. Now, ideally, to prove that you've been cast in professional things, that's professional TV and film. But if you don't have that, don't wait. Either get in a studio and just something, it doesn't have to be like polished and super produced with sound effects and color correction and all this kind of stuff, but they need to see a good look at you and see your range and see what you're all about.
You can make it work, right? Like, especially with technology nowadays, like, you have the things at your fingertips to make sure that you have at least something new to show them, so that they're not seeing the same old thing. Like, I haven't updated my demo reel in now 2 years. So like, it needs an update. It really does need an update. And like, because like I've evolved as a performer. I've evolved as a person. So like, you want to be showing your updated thing, what you're currently working on, what makes you.
Always the best foot forward that you have currently. Like, give them the best stuff that you have wherever you're at right now. And some people are like, oh, well, doesn't it have to be something produced? Man, I would rather have a rock star 1 minute monologue or 2 contrasting monologues than a so-so scene from a docudrama that was kind of snipped together and didn't have great looks, or if it was like wide shots of you. I mean, not all demo material is created equally either. So if it's not close-ups of you, or if the coverage that they cut to is the actor opposite you, though, that's not that helpful. So you may be better off to just set aside all your professional stuff and then show them, like, this is me right now. I've been in classes for the last 6 months going hard. This is my best monologue that I got, or 2 that are contrasting ideally. But yeah, don't wait for that stuff, and just realize that your performance and your craft and your skill is going to trump. I hate saying Trump. Sorry. I used to say that word all the time. And now it's like, it was such a fun word until the man that shall not be named, Voldemort, ruined it. But yeah, what was I going to say is just trust that if the performance is there, all the other stuff is bonus anyways. So if you rock it and it's a blank backdrop in a studio, who cares? The casting director and the production is going to be like, man, this person has craft. They had all the storytelling elements. They had vocal variation. They were physical. They were in the moment. They were right there. Showed me a lot of variation. They were funny. They were like all the things that a casting director might look for. But if you're still like twiddling your thumbs, being like, well, I can't do anything because I haven't got the footage from the thing I shot 2 years ago, you gotta decide what you want and fight to get it, and don't take no for an answer, and figure out, okay, if I'm waiting for that, what's my next best option? When that comes in, great, add that. But for now, and that's to show your agent and casting directors. I know that for me, I have a lot of casting directors that now with pandemic, they really haven't seen me like work for a few years now. So hopefully if that's the case, I mean, I think about a casting director, thousands of actors that they see, they're not going to keep everyone in top of mind. And they're just going to kind of have categorized you as something or other based on what they've seen in the past. But if you're growing and changing, maybe that's something or other that they saw for 2 lines in a TV series that was kind of a throwaway thing as just a day player. And in your head, you're like, fuck that. I want to be lead roles and supporting roles and ensemble leads. That's okay to feel that way. You just have to back it up, showing them that you got the craft, and people could create a series around you and create these massive roles around you. And that's one of our coaches, Tom, always says, a career is made when the right actor meets the right role and blows it up. But that's normally a lead or supporting role. It's very rare that there's going to be a walk-on day player, two-liner where it's like, oh, wow, see what that guy did? And then you blew up from one line.
Because what I do really love watching nowadays is seeing shows or movies from back 10 years ago and like seeing someone in a two-line role that's now elevated their career to supporting or lead roles. And like you see that a lot more, especially if you really pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see it so often, and it's great to see. And we're not saying that these demo reels are something that has to be the be all end all for you. This is just a temporary thing, even just for this year, just so that casting directors and other or agents see you for what you're doing right now, because that is so important.
Right. Yeah. This is me right now, the best that you're going to get right now. Rather than this is me 3 years ago when I got this headshot, and this is the footage on my demo from 5 years ago. That's not going to get you. I mean, maybe that'll get you somewhere, but if you feel you've improved and grown since then, no one's going to know that unless they can see it. So just ask yourself, is there somewhere that the world can see the best I have to offer right now? My greatest like performance, or what's the opus inside of you right now that you think you can just unleash one mother of a monologue and just blow the roof off so that someone's like, holy fuck, she's got the goods, she's got craft, she knows what she's doing. They got to see that, right? So update your materials, update them, your demo reel, your resume, your headshot, website, your social profiles. Do it all now in one fell swoop. Your agent's going to love you. Your manager's going to love you. And ultimately, that's the only way that casting and production is going to see who you are at your best.